America first may be the ruin of Donald Trump. Could be of America too if we don't get our act together and vote the bastards out come the midterms. Investment in our allies, investment in our brand of democracy around the world through global aid, through the Voice of America, Radio Free Europe and Asia and China and South America and all different places that are yearning to breathe free. And we have to support it with our brand of democracy. But Donald Trump has destroyed it. Donald Trump has destroyed it under the guise of DEI, anti-DEI and budget cuts and whatever. All I know is that the world and it's on its axis is turning towards the east and away from the west, away from the leader of the free world. You can't call Donald Trump the leader of the free world any longer. The free world is in the hands of our Democratic allies. The free world is in the hands of our Canadian allies. You have to keep the flame. You have to keep it for us now. We're on hiatus. And judges are joining in this resistance and in this fight. Royce Lamperth, a Republican judge, senior status in D.C., just did a scathing order and decision about the Voice of America and Kari Lake, the major Trump enabler, effectively lying and violating court orders. And he's had it and is considering contempt hearings against the Trump administration, joining a long list of judges that have found or started those contempt proceedings. Watch it all, listen to it all on Legal AF, the podcast. And here's a clip. Royce Lamperth is no friend of this administration, even though he's a Republican. He's often found himself on the other side of the administration, including during Jan 6th. And he's been, I think, exceedingly patient, Karen, about how the Trump administration has been dismembering piece by piece, the Voice of America. Voice of America, a Radio Free Europe, Radio Free China. Congress set a requirement that our brand of democracy and freedom be exported to the rest of the world, especially in places which don't have democracy, like Russia and China and North Korea and other places like in South America. And that is the mandate of Congress. The executive branch is not supposed to, until the Supreme Court recently said it was okay, is not supposed to cut off funding, pocket rescission, like, nope, I don't want to give that money out. Nope, I don't like that agency. And just cut off and choke it to death. Voice of America, I'll give you an example. Voice of America used to have 24 hours of programming in multiple countries and regions around the world and Congress had funding for that. Right now, Voice of America consists of 2 15-minute segments a day in Arab dialects, and that's it. That's it. There's nothing in South America, North Korea, China, Russia, nothing on the internet, radio, whatever, shortwave, and that's it. And that has not sat well with Judge Lamperth, who blocked and had his block affirmed, blocked the current defunding of and personnel firing of Voice of America. Kari Lake gave a deposition. They had a full trial, and Kari Lake was an idiot. She was dripping with indifference, as the judge called it. When they asked Kari Lake, do you consider Africa to be a country of interest, as a material interest, as that term is used in the statute creating the Voice of America? She said, I've never given it any thought. He said that did not sit well. And he then spent a considerable amount of time telling off the Trump administration and inviting a contempt motion. Why don't you take it from there for what you found in that order, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, he basically found that she violated his April order and that she was obfuscating the court's requests for information. She wasted judicial time and resources. And he essentially basically said, what you've done readily supports a contempt proceeding. However, Voice of America only asked to reinstate their 500 plus employees. They didn't ask for contempt. Reading between the lines, I think he would have easily held her in contempt. But this decision also is completely contemptuous of Kari Lake and what she's doing. And, he basically said, don't mistake the fact that I'm not holding her in contempt for lenience. This is her behavior's egregious. I'm just not doing it because nobody asked for it. I mean, that's very sharply, strongly worded, really what he was saying. But, you can't just have a court tell you what to do and then turn around and basically give the court a middle finger, lay off 500 people. And the judge says you have to reinstate them. I mean, which makes all the sense in the world. You can't just lie to the court and do whatever you want. I mean, the Trump administration doesn't seem to care, and they just are going to do whatever they want and then just be, hope that a few slip through, and they just don't care about their reputation. They don't care about honesty. And this is just another example of that. So I'm really happy that this court is holding the line here.
Yeah, the part that I liked as well is when he took on the United States Supreme Court again, yet another, joining a long list of federal judges, trial court or appellate, that are telling the Supreme Court, you want to rule by emergency docket and give us one paragraph and call it precedent? We don't see it that way. And you're not giving us any guidance, and we don't know how to apply it. And what he pointed out was a good point. Lamprecht pointed out, where the Trump administration says you can't block our firing because there's a long, or funding, because there's a long line of cases, including the Department of Education, where the Supreme Court on the shadow docket has ruled a certain way. And what Lamprecht said is, I don't care what the Supreme Court says. It's not precedent. I can't apply it. You don't give me the ratio. You don't give me the internal logic. You don't give me the gravamen. You don't give me the way to apply it to my facts. And you're filling in the blanks on a one paragraph to your advantage. And I reject that. Now, that's going to get him in trouble again, because Gorsuch, as I said at the top of the show, already excoriated Judge Young when Judge Young in Massachusetts said, I'm going to block you cutting off funding for the National Institute of Health. And they said, what? Gorsuch said, what? There's precedent. Even though you may not like it, even though it may be one paragraph, it may be a provisional ruling, it is precedent of our court, and you are to apply it. And the guy's like, you mean that one paragraph about the Department of Education? You wanted me to apply that to the National Institute of Health? Like, what are we supposed to do? I thought we're supposed to apply facts to law as judges. So there's a battle brewing among and a rebellion, if you will.
Putting this into context for people who didn't go to law school.
99% of our audience.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just want to put this into context. The Supreme Court serves as the supreme legal body, right? And so when they write decisions, they are very long, very thoughtful, and they are written in a way to give guidance to the courts below. Okay, so that the middle level courts and the district courts, who are the first level of courts that hear a case, right? They need to know what is the law. And so the Supreme Court always, and same thing with the appellate courts, their decisions are always long and thoughtful and give a lot of guidance so that the judges know exactly what it means. What Popok is talking about that's going on, this mutiny with some of the judges, understandably, is the Trump administration uses the Supreme Court as a small claims court, essentially, for all of his little, he takes everything on an emergency basis to the Supreme Court and is like, he uses the Supreme Court like it's his own personal court. And I guess it kind of is because he's the president. But normally cases don't go to the Supreme Court on an emergency basis on routine things like whether or not you fire someone, et cetera. But here, what Trump is doing is so unprecedented that these cases are going to the Supreme Court on these emergency basis. And the court then isn't fully briefing them and writing a whole decision. The court is just basically saying yes or no. Yes, you can do this. No, you can't. And gives like a line or two and maybe a paragraph. And so that's what's going on here with these other courts. And so what a lot of litigants are doing is they're taking that one or two line or paragraph decision saying, see, this is the law. And what the federal district court judges are saying, no, that's not the law. That was a decision in one case. The Supreme Court did not see fit to give us guidance and tell us what the law actually is. They just made a decision in that one case, and therefore it doesn't apply here.
Which I totally agree with, except Gorsuch doesn't agree with it. Because when he chastised Young, he said, It may be a paragraph. It may be procedural. It may be temporary, but it is the precedent of the United States Supreme Court, and you are to follow it, except when they don't even follow their own precedent. I ran a clip last night on The Intersection, my other podcast, of Clarence Thomas caught at Catholic University. I guess he thought he was in like a cozy, comfy setting and nobody would listen to him. And which he said is, I don't consider precedent to be gospel that I need to follow. Well, there it is, folks. We always thought they were just judicial activists who were just making law without reference to the record, the case, or even precedent. And there he is. He said it out loud. Welcome back. It's an hour-long podcast, but that's a clip to kind of whet your appetite. Maybe you don't know about Legal AF, the YouTube channel, or Legal AF, the podcast. It's Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, only on the MeidasTouch Network. If you listen to us, it's on. Just plug it into any audio podcast platform of your choice, like Spotify or Apple or Google or Apple. Where am I? And leave a 5-star review. And all that great stuff. It really does help us. Come over to the YouTube channel for MeidasTouch. Watch us Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then if you want to become a full card-carrying member of the Legal AF community, Legal AF YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It's all free, no outside investors, no paywall, no corporate parents. Slide over to Legal AF. The Substack, do the exact same thing. Become a paid member, and now you're in the Legal AF family. firmly planted there. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. I'm Michael Popak, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of MeidasTouch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popak Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popak Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popak Firm today at 1-877-POPAK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopakfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popak Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.